Well, hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam, thanks for hanging out with me again today. And today is going to be me answering all your questions you had in the previous video for me to answer in this video. You know, ask and you shall receive, I guess. So I have a giant stack of questions, and we're just going to get into them because there's quite a few. So Andy Gibson didn't really have a question, just basically commenting that it was great to hear that the Hot Shot 2 original is being re-released. I'm 110% with you. When they did the Not Shot, the Blockhead Motors Hot Shot 2, kind of bleh to me, but I know a lot of guys like them. It just wasn't my thing. I did get one, turned it into the Not Shot as kind of a joke to myself as well as to Tamiya. But yes, I am very looking forward to getting an original, building an original and having that in the collection. So Al from Spare Time RC says, hey Adam, out of all the Tamiya kits, which one would you recommend to a beginner to start off with and why? Thanks for providing the Q&A session. Take care and best wishes. Really, there's a few of them. It depends, you know, where you're have to drive. If you are somewhere where, you know, all you have is thick grass to run around in and stuff like that, then probably something like a lunchbox or, you know, something like that. You know, it has enough ground clearance to where it's going to be able to drive in grass, but not get bogged down like a buggy would. Now, if you have, you know, a ball field or, you know, short to cut grass, you know, a TTO2B buggy is a great one, or say something like the Neophyter, the DTO3 is a great buggy, great price, great buggy, super simple build, and you know, performs really well. So it really depends. Truck wise, I would go more towards the Lunchbox just because they're super fun. You can drive them pretty much anywhere, have a great time with them. They don't have to be super fast to have a lot of fun. And the buggies, you know, TTO2 B is a good one, but you have to have somewhere good to run it. If you have taller grass, it's going to bog down and drag the belly and not be fun. The DTO3s tend to have a little bit more ground clearance, and you know, there's a little tiny boat hole chassis versus a big plate of the TTO2B. So of those, probably those are my top three for a beginner build that's going to be fun, has parts availability, and you know, will suit your running area. Jumbo's RC, is there any kit out of all that you have built that you would not build if you could go back in time, knowing what you've learned from that particular build, or were they all worth the effort? I think all in all, they were all worth the effort. You know, the building part for me is the fun part. Sometimes they do get frustrating, especially, you know, if you screwed up something and you're like, where the hell is this screw? Or, you know, why is this not fitting right? Because you've got something flipped over. I can't think of any off the top of my head that I really disliked the build. There were a few that were really quick and easy to build, but the bodies took forever. The Tamiya GT Mark II, the Ford race car, that one was that was something. You know, chassis, super simple, couple hour build. The body, geez, that thing took forever to mask and paint. And then the decals took, you know, forever. I think it was it's either 140 or 170 decals in that kit. It was ridiculous. That's the only one I probably wouldn't do again just because of the decals on it. I would either paint the body something completely different or just skip that one altogether. Craig, I'm not going to answer yours just because I haven't seen anything about it yet, and I don't want to ruin the surprise of it. There's a thing between evidently Mark and Rob going on about, you know, animals. I'm not going to say any more. I haven't seen Mark come out with his video yet, so I'm not going to say anything on that one. So Mad's RC Buggy had kind of hinted at this before, but his question is, what is Thanksgiving? But I think maybe we need a twist on it and try to describe it as an RC related topic somehow. How's that for a fun little game? So Thanksgiving is kind of like, you know, personally for me, it's, you know, getting together with family, getting together and just enjoying each other, taking the time out to just be thankful for what you got, what you have, look forward to, you know, things that may be coming, but, you know, just taking a step back, slow down, and, you know, be with the ones you love. That said, as RC, you know, we always want to get the newest thing, something new, something flashy comes out, you know, and there's always that, you know, I need that, especially when you get into collecting. You know, anything new comes out, you automatically have that knee-jerk reaction of like, ooh, let me get that. But occasionally you do have to step back and just take a look and say, gosh, you know, I've really got a lot of these things. Do I really need that one? So maybe that's kind of the RC version of Thanksgiving, is, you know, actually turning around and appreciating all the cool stuff that you already have. So John Foster RC, not sure if this one's already been asked. With your RC collection reaching high numbers, I can imagine that the building of RCs for the channel may be becoming more work. However, may I ask, is there a particular one of your RCs that is more meaningful or emotional connection, and why? So as far as the amount of cars, you know, each one is just as exciting as the last one. You know, there's always going to be the excitement of getting it, building it, seeing it completed, and then eventually going out and seeing it run for the first time. You know, the driving of them, I think, has been the thing that has waned the most. You know, I have so many, and I have so many projects lined up, you know, with the restorations and the new kits that are sitting here waiting to be done. You know, getting out and driving them kind of is in the back of the mind type thing. You know, the more I get, it really doesn't affect how much I enjoy building them. Now, with that said, sometimes painting and decaling can be kind of tedious, especially if you've got one built and, you know, it's raining and stuff, so you put the body off and then you are working on something else, and then, you know, a restoration body comes in and you need to paint that. And I actually have one I'm painting for a friend, and, you know, next thing you know, you're painting 3 or 4 bodies back to back to back, and that gets tedious. You know, but, you know, that's just the way it works out sometimes. Now, as far as the RCs that have the most meaning, I do have quite a few, and all of them have come from somebody. You know, whether it was a gift, a donation, somebody helped me get it, or even I've got a couple that came from auctions from other collectors. All those ones that have a story to them are the ones that mean the most to me. The rest of them that I just bought and built to, you know, have in the collection to fill off that checkbox as a kid, you know, don't mean as much to me at all as the ones that, you know, somebody's gifted it to me. You know, all the cars from the RC Elf, you know, I'm never going to get rid of those. The cars that have come in from viewers from other channels, you know, there's no way in the world I'm ever going to give up those. You know, some of the other ones, you know, if they need to go eventually, they need to go. But the ones that have the stories to them, you know, those are the ones that are special to me. I can't really pick out a top one of them. You know, probably if I had to pick a top one, it would probably be the Grand Hauler, because, you know, that is the one that was the first gift to the channel by the RC Elf, and, you know, really made me think that, you know, hey, there's somebody out here watching this stuff that really enjoys this. You know, up until that point, it was just kind of something to do for funsies. All right. Trey at All RC Fun. What is your go-to RC when you're in a funk and want to bring a smile back to your face? A lunchbox. Lunchbox or something, you know, anything that does wheelies. A Wild Willie, lunchbox, anything like that. But the lunchbox is generally the one I go to the first. The Fun Runner, the gray one. You know, if I'm having an awful day and I have time, I can come down, toss a battery in it, run 10, 15 minutes, stick it back on the shelf, put the battery over there, and, you know, I have blown off the steam, put a smile on my face, enjoyed myself for a little bit, and can move on. You know, there's other ones, but like I said, pretty much the go-to for putting a smile on my face is the lunchbox. Now, if I'm really in a bad mood and I need to take out some aggression, something like the Granite or the Typhon, something that's going to sling dirt and just be rowdy and angry, you know, that's a fun one too. You know, that's like an aggression reliever there. Max Payne 2. What unique RC tools or other items do you like for building RCs? What are some more ideas for organizing all your parts? How many RCs do you have and or running, and what is your favorite ones you have built? What Tamiya kit would be your last choice to build, and why? Okay, so we got a couple there. So tools that I use a lot that I never had and have actually, you know, been extremely beneficial. Shock pliers. You know, I was always the guy with the folded up piece of cardboard and a pair of needle nose. You know, please don't scratch, please don't scratch. These things are great. Ball end connectors, you know, putting on link ends, rod ends, all that stuff. Shock pliers are a great thing, and these are cheapies. They're like $13-14 on Amazon. You know, nothing special, but those are great. A good pair of side cutters, highly recommend. For cutting off the sprues, for just general, you know, cleaning up stuff. Great. Don't use them on big heavy wire though; you'll tear them up. Other than that, you know, the only other things that really have made life easy is, you know, for Tamiya, a JIS screwdriver. You know, that's almost a must-have. Let's see. You know, the little hex bits for my drill driver. You know, these things really speed up tearing down cars. You know, just go in here and start busting screws out. Beep, 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 beep. And next thing you know, car's in 100 pieces, and my wrist and arm doesn't hurt. I do put them together with that sometimes, but you know, you have to know your tool and all that stuff to be putting them together right. As far as organization, the biggest thing that I have done is the little totes. These little totes are a lifesaver. I have shock parts, Tamiya parts, shocks, electronic switches, motors, ESCs, programmers, driver figures. You know, I have totes after totes after totes of totes stuff over there. All your snipped off little bits and pieces of leftover parts trees. There's 2 big totes of that. This is actually the Icarus. You know, it's all the parts and pieces for it, except for a few minor, very important pieces that I need to finish putting it together. The other thing is little screw tray. I love this. When I'm putting together Tamiya kits, you know, a lot of people, they'll take everything out of bag A and put it in this little pot, and they'll put everything in bag B in this little pot. I open up all the bags. I don't care if it's a huge kit or a small kit. I will take all the screws and, you know, 10mm screw self-tappers here, 12mm self-tappers here, you know, and just get them all in here. If you have a huge kit like a grand hauler, I would say getting 2 of these would be great. But, you know, I just get everything organized. All the special shoulder screws and all the nuts and washers and everything over here. So everything is organized, and, you know, they don't roll around. They don't get knocked off. They stay in their little protective buckets there. That's great. The little screw organizers, after you have put together quite a few Tamiya kits, you have quite a bit of hardware left over. So I've got all self-tappers, machine screws, washers, all different types of nuts in this one. And I have another one just like it that has all the specialty hardware. I've got one specifically for Tamiya bearings. I've got a big one for assorted bearings. I've got another one for, you know, modern hex hardware. Little ones for body clips, you know. Organizers keep you organized. So how many RCs do you have and or running, and what is your favorite ones you built? So as far as total, I have to go through and count. I did not do that before this video, so I'll put the number here of total. How many I have running? Again, I'll have to count and then deduct out the kits that are sitting here. So this is how many that are running. So all of those have servos, all of them have receivers. Basically, all I have to do is either pull out the transmitter, put batteries in it and run, or bind it to the transmitter and run. Because I've just run out of room on transmitters. I've got 3 different spectrums that most of my cars are on, and I just don't have enough space in all of them. And it's kind of silly to keep buying, you know, $120 radios when it takes 3 minutes to bind it. What is the favorite ones I built so far? Probably the 2 favorites I have built so far is the Grand Hauler, just because that's just a tremendous kit to build. And then the other one is the Mutz Cuts lunchbox, just because that thing just tickles me to death just to see it. What Tamiya kit would be your last choice to build, and why? Tamiya TD4. Just because I absolutely have 0 interest in that car at all. I think it's a turd. I hate the look of it. I hate the way that they released it. I just have no love for that car at all. I know they're probably really great. I've heard a lot of good things about them after you fixed all the problems with them. But yeah, that's one I have 0 interest in building, buying, owning, looking at, any of it. So let's see. I think we got all those from Max Payne. So Jeremy, hey Dad RC, 'tis the season. What's your most favorite Christmas tradition? There's 2. One is Christmas breakfast. For years and years and years, we went over to my grandparents' house and we all got together and we basically had a very huge Christmas brunch, basically. Just every kind of breakfast, sweets, treats, pies, cakes, everything you can imagine. And it was the greatest thing in the world to be able to just have all that goodness on a Christmas morning. We still do that here, not quite as big, but we still have our traditional Christmas breakfast, brunch, whatever. And the other thing is just, chilling out, watching, my kids are, in their 20s, but still I get enjoyment about sitting there watching them, talk about each other's gifts and play with this and that and doing this and that. And then, the having Christmas Story on the TV behind that, I can just chill out on the couch, hot mug of tea, enjoy the kids being there, having fun, watching a Christmas Story. That's probably my two favorite traditions. Michael Dorch. So first, happy holidays. Thank you, Mike. When I first started watching your channel, you did more crawlers, and recently you've done even less. Is there a reason for that? You haven't done more episodes on smaller scale RCs. When deciding what to present next, do you look at the numbers for your popular episodes? Thank you, and keep up the good work. Thank you, Michael. So as far as crawlers, generally I don't run the crawlers much in the warm summer months, spring through fall. I generally don't run the crawlers just because where my little crawler course is right in a low spot of the woods, and it is just dead air. It's humid and there's bugs galore down there. I hate sweating and I hate bugs in my face. So those are two reasons I don't go out and crawl much in the summertime. As far as, crawler content, it's weird with the way content goes. I've done some crawler videos and they've done really well. I've done some crawler videos and everybody has ignored them. And I don't really look at the numbers to say, well, I'm never going to do that again. But it's just not kind of the niche, I guess the channel has taken on with the Tamiyas and the Kyoshos and the vintage and all that stuff. I do have newer stuff that I bring on here and the crawler stuff, but it's just not, the normal for me at this point. And it will be more on there. I actually built a crawler for my neighbor, so hopefully we can get out there soon, now that it's cooled off and the bugs aren't bothering us and we don't have to worry about snakes and all that stuff, that we'll get out there and run around. As far as the minis go, it's just not my favorite thing to get. The little mini bashers, they're fun, but I just don't have a great place to run them. They don't do well a lot of them don't do well on the track. I have to say that. So they're kind of, you're struggling to drive them around on the track. They don't do super well in the grass, so they're struggling to run around the grass. So I'm limited to where I can run those. And in the little mini crawlers, I've got the WPL one. I actually have the WPL one from Ryan at RD's RCs that I have to build. I've got my SCX24, which I actually have a completely different hard body on there and a whole bunch of upgrades on there that you guys haven't even seen yet. And then I have the one from the company we don't name on the channel anymore, the little tiny mini Defender. And I bought that and was really excited about it, and then that company did some really bonehead stuff that I did not agree with, and I said from there on I'm not going to feature any of their products on the channel. I may still buy them. I don't really have a problem with their products. I just can't stand them for their business practices, and I won't, promote them on my channel for free. But yeah, that's kind of reason why you haven't seen much of the crawlers on here. You'll probably see a little bit more here in the next couple months. So Mark Bryan RC, hi Adam, a simple one for you. What are the highlights of 2023, both RC and non-RC related? RC related, I think we got a really good dose of cool vintage cars getting re-released this year, and some kind of one-off things. You had the Genova, you had the Dirt Master, now there's the SR31 B97 or whatever it is. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the new one that just came out that is very similar to the Genova and the Dirt Master. So that was really exciting to see. I really liked, they're taking more modern platforms, giving them that retro feel, so it's kind of a little crossover area. But we have had a lot of great re-releases this year, and the RC10cc came out of nowhere, and that was super awesome. Non-RC related, I guess the biggest highlight of this year was making it through this year. I started out this year, didn't have a job, and got my new position, and it was a very difficult transition to get through. I went from having a few months off to where it was just all RC content. You know, I could make videos, I could build stuff, I could do stuff whenever I wanted to because, you know, didn't have a job. But then came back to reality, and that really put me in a funk, and it was really hard to re-find a balance and get out of that funk. But, you know, through the help of you guys and, you know, the comments helped out an awful lot, helped me get through that funk. And, you know, we're back and we're growing just as strong as I was when I wasn't working and was able to pump out content all the time. So, you know, seeing that dramatic fall and then ramping back up, and now we're growing and everybody seems to be really enjoying the channel again, that's probably my highlight. So getting through the year was the highlight of 2023. So let's see, Jimbo's RC. G'day from Australia. I see Keith from RC Icons is building his own vintage racetrack. He mentioned your name when discussing who will race on it. Will you be endeavoring to go race with Keith? I really hope so. There's some stuff going on here that I'm not going to get into in a video, but that may keep me here. If it does, it does. You know, that stuff is more important than driving up there. But I really do hope I may be able to make the trip up and be able to get out there with Keith, enjoy his track, hang out with some other YouTubers and stuff, and really, you know, be a part of that whole thing. You know, what Keith is doing out there with that track is super cool. What Keith is doing on his channel is super cool. You know, I know his content has been, you know, a lot of unboxings and stuff lately, just because he's been super busy with building the track, building his, you know, RC room and all that stuff. But I'm sure in the next few months, once he gets wrapped up with that, gets past Christmas and can get moved into his RC room, I think it's going to be, his channel is going to be unbelievable after that. So yes, I really hope I can. Just may have some technical issues of things keeping me here. John Doe, hi there. If you were forced to keep only one RC, what would it be? You're asking a guy with over 150 RCs to narrow it down to one. I think I'm going to have to go back to the lunchbox. You know, it's just an all-around fun-having truck. You know, there's other ones, you know, I've got the 3S Granite, I've got the 3S Typhon, you know, they're fun, they're great, but, you know, nothing puts a smile on my face as quick as the lunchbox. And, you know, if I could only have one, you know, I could have an awful lot of fun with just that one. So VSCI 79, g'day Adam, what RC vehicle has the best poor suspension in your experience? In other words, what RC suspension works well despite being simple or nothing special in design? That made me think a little bit, and then it just dawned on me. The Tamiya Mad Bull. That thing just has generic pogo shocks on there, and it works great. The big balloon tires really help it out. You know, they help absorb some of the impacts and stuff like that. But, you know, out of the box, that truck just performs wonderfully. Friction shocks, you know, it's a goofy looking thing, but man, it just drives over and around and through and up anything you put in front of it. It is a great little truck, and, you know, those friction shocks do not hold it back at all. All right, Jack of Trades. He said, oh boy, my favorite time of the month. I think you've touched on this before, but in the past, what other vintage toys do you collect? Lately, I found myself going down the Masters of the Universe rabbit hole. I have always collected something. For the longest time, it was sports cards. When I was growing up, my grandfather got me into collecting baseball cards, and I collected baseball cards, got into some football, Garbage Pail Kids, all that stuff. And I still have boxes and boxes and binders of all that stuff boxed up. One of these days, hopefully my kids will, you know, be rich off of me. But yeah, I really enjoyed the cards. Actually, again, my grandfather got me into coin collecting. So I have a decent little coin collection. Nerd, I know. You know, I've always just had, there's always been something. There's always been a hobby or something that, you know, has occupied my time. This is probably the furthest I've gone with a collection, and the most money I've spent on a collection, and the most effort and time and anything that I put into any type of collection. But as far as like action figures or, you know, any other vintage stuff, I really haven't gone too far down any of those highways recently. You know, coin collecting, obviously for years I was buying coins and, you know, stuff like that, going to coin shows and stuff. But, you know, Here recently, it's just been all RC, and that's pretty much where all my money goes. And I don't really buy too many other things, other than tech, cameras and, tech toys, headphones and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much, the RC is kind of my jam now. I really haven't gone into the toy place. We actually have a nice, really cool comic book shop, vintage toy shop in town, and I love going in there. I'm if I start buying, it's going to turn into this all over again with something else. So trying not to. True No Panda. Let's see. Hey Adam, I'm super excited to see you in such a sweet T-shirt. Do you sell these T-shirts by chance? So I'm assuming you're talking about the van T-shirt, not my Christmas vacation T-shirt. But yes, I do have the Teespring store, and I need to go in and redo it because I tried adding in the van stuff into the clothing, but Teespring is really weird. You basically have a little showroom, and you're only allowed so many things in the showroom, and I had already done a whole bunch in the Addams Playground logo stuff. So when I was trying to add in more of the other stuff, it was like, oh, you can't add any more inventory and blah, blah, blah. And so I basically had to get rid of some of the Addams Playground stuff, add some of the other stuff. So I'll have the link down below in the description where you can go check it out. But there is Addams Playground, the logo, the potato, and then there is also the van. I think I had the van on a couple different T-shirts and a couple different sweatshirts. And then the Addams Playground logo, again, that's on a whole bunch of different stuff. So I just tried to kind of get a good mix of both when I went back and redid it. And I also tried to cut down the prices the best I could to try to make it as reasonable for you guys if you're interested in getting some. Brad Cowman asked, what is your next surprise car you planned on getting or was not planned on getting? Well, if I tell you, Brad, it's not a surprise. But I guess probably it would be the RC10cc. I really didn't see that coming. I don't think really any of us did. Once it showed up at SEMA, everybody was like, oh man, that's cool. You guys need to make that. And then they were like, hey, we're going to make a few. Oh God, you really like it. We're going to make a few thousand. But that's probably the one that I nobody saw coming. I didn't expect to get, didn't expect to see out. But it's really, really cool, and I'm really, really excited to get that. As far as any of the other ones, I don't think anything. Probably the Super Saber maybe this year. I was kind of surprised that came out and really excited to get that. So hopefully whenever they start shipping those out, that'll show up too. Yoda Dark Side, James from Green Hark RC. I generally buy myself a kit for Christmas each year. After all, it's a season giving, isn't it? Yeah. I know I'm not the only one that does this. I'm looking at either the Optima Mid or the Egress Black this year. So do you indulge in this total selfish tradition? If so, what kit do you hope Adam will buy you this year? So I generally don't buy myself the kits, but over the last couple years, my wife didn't know what to get me, and she was like, I don't know, what do you want? I told her this. Okay, fine, order it. So I've kind of ordered my some of my RCs for the last couple Christmases. My mom did surprise me with some, but overall, I generally don't buy myself much during Christmas because I'm buying myself stuff all year long. So I'm focusing on everybody else during Christmas. But this year, let's see, have I bought any? I have bought some stuff off of eBay. But nothing spectacular, and I'm still waiting for some of the other stuff to show up so I can get it on pre-order or actually order it. But yeah, nothing special for Christmas this year. I actually already have my Christmas present, but you guys will see a video on that here soon. So number one, BRC. Hey Adam, how would you describe your perfect RC car model? One that comes with everything you need in the kit. So it comes with bearings. It comes with all the grease and the shock oils and everything, tires, body, everything you need to build it. It comes with really great plastics, carbon filled, fiberglass filled plastics, lightweight, heavy duty, brake proof, good hardware, nice, good metric hardware, that, fits well. performance wise, you know, that's kind of neither here nor there. You know, that's kind of all over the place. You know, if it's a truck, it's going to be a truck. If it's going to be a buggy, it's going to be a buggy. You know, they're all going to perform, you know, in their respective categories. But, you know, just good quality stuff. You know, I don't want to get a kit and be like, you know, Tamiya is famous for it. Get a kit. Oh, well, you got to get the bearings. Okay, well, that's a given. I got to get the bearings. Oh, well, you know, for this one, yeah, this one kind of doesn't do really well here, so you guys need to upgrade this part. And, yeah, this thing back here, you know, if you're not careful, you'll break that during assembly, and you'll have to order this whole, you know, upgrade thing for that. And while you're upgrading that, if you do that, you're probably going to end up breaking these things up here, so you have to upgrade that. And it's like, you know, geez, you sold me a kit that, you know, I got to put another $150 into it. And, you know, there is no perfect RC. You know, there's always going to be something that breaks. You know, like my Gorgon, you know, that thing is a beast. It's cheap. It's tough. I have seen people beat the bejesus out of theirs. Skate parks, you know, thrashing it through mud, dirt, jumps, bashing it off things, tumbling it down mountainsides. And, you know, I clip the corner of a pipe in my track and the servo saver explodes. You know, there's always going to be a weak point somewhere. You know, I don't fault the servo saver. I might have gotten a bad servo saver. You know, it was just a fluke thing that happened, but there's always going to be that. So there is no perfect RC, but my perfect one would be cheap, well built, everything fits perfectly, and I don't have to buy any upgrades for it. Mark from RCU in the Shed. Hey mate, I'd like to ask, what system do you use and how do you manage a video idea through to upload? How long does it take from idea to upload? And do you have a calendar or a schedule, or do you just do what you feel like doing? Cheers mate and have a great week. Take care. I wing it. I just make stuff up as I go along. When something comes in, if a new kit shows up, it may take precedence over this one, or it may, you know, everything is constantly shuffling around here. You know, I've got stuff that's been sitting on the shelf for months and months because it keeps getting pushed back. As far as what I use for, you know, stuff, I have my Sony camera. It's a ZV-1 Sony camera with a Rode shotgun mic on there. I've got some cheap LED lights sitting back there. I have the GoPro Hero 11. I've got the Insta360 Go. And I do all my editing on DaVinci Resolve, the free version. One of these days I will upgrade to the pro version or the paid version to get all the features. But at this point, I mean, 3 years going and the free version is still working for me. As far as scheduling, you know, I just know I'm going to release a video on Wednesday and Saturday. And, you know, like today is Thursday evening. I'm recording this. I'm going to have to edit it probably Friday night. And it'll be uploading, you know, 9, 10 o'clock Friday night to be aired at midnight Saturday morning. So, you know, my only planning is poor. You know, I stick to the schedule. What is going to be in the schedule? Yeah, I don't know. All right, Peter Edwards asks, why do you store your LiPos to keep them safe? I've been tempted to try LiPo myself, but I'm concerned about battery fires, and I've seen so many people say keep them in ammo boxes. So I do probably more than I need to. I think if you treat your LiPo batteries like you should, you'll be fine. And what I mean by that is if you charge up your batteries and you plan on going out and for some reason that doesn't happen, go discharge your batteries. You know, don't put it off and say, well, I'll get to that tomorrow. Go discharge your batteries. You know, a fully charged LiPo battery is where it's going to be in its most dangerous state. It's its most volatile state is fully charged. You know, it has all that electricity just wanting to get out. So if you can't run them, discharge your batteries. If you are running them, don't over discharge your batteries. The 2 points in the danger zone is overcharged or fully charged and undercharged. So when you're running them, make sure you have LiPo cutoff and you're doing everything you can to make sure that you're not over discharging your batteries. Make sure you have them charged up to a storage charge. You know, 3.78 I think is the recommended charge level. So right around that 3.75 to 3.8 is where you should be, you know, storage charging them. And I put every one of my LiPos is in a singular LiPo bag, and then I actually have all of those packaged in these small little lunchbox sized LiPo containers, and then I actually have a big ammo can. It's actually a grenade ammo can, and has 2 latches, one on each end, and I have 6 big holes drilled out in the top. That way, if something does catch on fire, it should be contained in there. I have the battery in a bag, in a LiPo, or in a ammo can. Now, obviously, you don't want to put too many in there all at one time. You know, you put 45 batteries in one can, you know, you're just asking for a bomb. That's why I kind of keep them all individual. So if something does happen to one, hopefully it won't chain react with the rest of them. But I try to keep everything spaced out in there. And, you know, just do your best. They have the battery safes now. So buy a battery safe, get some of the small, little cheap individual cell bags, charge them in that, store them in that, put them in the battery safe in that, and you should be fine. Battery safety, you know, is the key. Making sure you're doing the right thing is what's going to keep your batteries from, you know, blowing up. You know, I recently, it was about a week and a half ago, I had a little power brick. So, you know, something similar to this, actually a smaller one. It's about the size of a cell phone, full of LiPo batteries. Been using it for 2 years now, probably. And I had charged it up, hadn't used it, done it a million times. Came back and it's sitting on my desk and it's about twice as thick as it normally is because the battery swole up. And thankfully it was contained, it stayed within there, but I immediately went down, I made a little bucket of salty water and just stuck it into salt water outside to let it discharge itself slowly. And, you know, now I got to recycle it. Don't ignore them is the biggest thing. Every month, put a reminder on your phone, check your batteries. Go down, make sure all your batteries are still at storage charge. All the cells are at storage charge. None of them are puffy. You know, if anything starts looking wonky, you know, I would rather spend an extra $65 to, you know, discharge a battery and recycle it and not have to worry about something damaged, you know, causing my house to burn down. You know, just makes sense to me. $65 worth of insurance is better than, you know, $650,000 to build a new house. Adventure Time RC. Hello, Adam. Would you like to practice karate in the garage? LOL, I had to ask something silly, and have a great day, my friend. This fat guy is not going to practice karate at all. You know, no, not even going to happen. I watch Karate Kid, but that's about it. Canon stuff. Do you think Tamiya should include bearings in all builds for a small cost, as I waited weeks here for where I live to get them to start my build? For me, unless it's a shelf queen, I want bearings in it. Since all mine are used and abused, bearings would be nice. I'm kind of on the fence with that one. I would love to see them include bearings in every kit, but the problem is Tamiya thinks bearings are made out of gold, and every time you get bearings in a kit, there's like a $40 upcharge for the price of the kit because, ooh, it comes with bearings. And the bad thing with Tamiya bearings is the ones they give you in the kit are all kind of crappy metal shielded bearings, which they're great inside of a transmission. But I don't want metal shielded bearings for my wheels. I don't want metal shielded bearings from outside of my gear cases and stuff like that. So all in all, I feel like I'm better off buying my bearings elsewhere and not paying Tamiya an absorbent amount to include bearings in their kit that I'm not really going to be super keen about anyway. I know I'm going to keep buying kits, and I know I'm going to keep building kits, and I know I'm going to keep repairing kits. So I literally have a ton of bearings. Just an example, let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got 12 tubes of the 1150 bearings in here, and I've got 3 tubes of the little 850 bearings in here. So this is my go-to, you know, bearing tub for Tamiya. Now I do have more bearings down there, you know, the 1650s and all the other size bearings that they need. So I buy mine in bulk from TRB Racing. They're out in California, but there's a lot of places you can get bulk bearings for. The 2 of them that are most common are 1150s, and the 850s are, you know, 90% of Tamiya's kits carry those 2 bearings on them. But yeah, it's like I said, I'm on the fence about it. It would be great if they had them, but you're just going to end up paying twice as much for a bearing kit. You know, you can pick up a bearing kit for $15, $20. Like I said, Tamiya is going to charge you an extra $35, $40 for the kit because, ooh, we gave you free bearings. Let's see, Iowa Budget RC Bashers. How many RCs do you currently own in the collection? This many. I haven't counted yet, dude. Sorry. I know it's over 150. what the number here was probably going to shock me even. Begin. Hey, Adam, do you have or have you ever had a motorcycle? All the best, Paul. Paul, yes, I have had a motorcycle in the past, and I actually love riding motorcycles. It's just the area I live in, the people are psycho. I mean, we are close enough to the cities where everybody goes up and does city driving and it's chaos. And then we're also far enough out kind of in the country where, you know, there's the slow bumpkin living drivers that, you know, I'm just going to go 35 miles an hour forever. And it's a mess around here for driving. I hate driving. I don't even like driving my truck around, much less riding a motorcycle around. I do miss riding my bike out in the middle of nowhere, finding country roads and just tootling down country roads for hours on end. But, you know, it's just old, fat, and, you know, I'm more terrified of the other people out there than anything else that could ever happen on a motorcycle. Cashmere, hey, Adam, do you use many brushless setups? Honestly, I don't. I do have some brushless setups. Most are either in RTRs or stuff I put in RTRs. I do have a few brushless setups outside of that. The TTO2B, still sitting on the floor. I actually do have the Hobby Wing ESC for that, and I did get in the bullet ends to put on there. So that needs to get fixed, so I'll have a decent brushless system in that. And I was actually looking, they have, Hobby Wing has a, I think it's a 120 amp ESC and a 4000 kV brushless motor combo on Amazon right now for like $79. So I was thinking about picking up one or two of those just to have on hand. I don't really have any plans for it, but you know, every now and then you'll get a buggy or something and be like, yeah, I can put a brushless motor in here and, you know, do that. But for the most part, I'm old school, and, you know, the brush seemed to be more legit for the Tamiyas since they're all older. But I don't have anything against brushless. It's just I'm not that knowledgeable on it. And I don't really need that much power for most of the Tamiya builds. You know, for the fun ones, the Granite and the Typhon and stuff like that, they're a blast. And, you know, I bought those specifically for going out and beating the snot out of them and being able to put them away dirty and not have to worry about them. Let's see. Two-wheeling nut. Hey, Adam, what four-wheel drive off-road Tamiya kit chassis would you recommend that can handle mild brushless power, take a full-size 2S LiPo, and it has a good amount of upgrade options? It won't be a shell queen, as I want to be able to run it. That is a very difficult question to answer because most Tamiya four-wheel drive trucks are not going to be happy with LiPo batteries. Just the way the battery compartments are made. Probably not going to be terribly happy with brushless power and limited on upgrade options. Actually, no. The squash fan is probably going to be your best bet at the moment. You know, I know Phil just put a brushless system in his. It's got a pretty bulletproof transmission. I mean, it's nothing but giant gears in there. So the only thing you could possibly strip out, maybe the two center gears on the motor where the motor goes in, but I doubt it. You know, I would think that would be almost bulletproof as far as the drivetrain. It's got solid metal drive cups, solid metal dog bones. It's a pretty tough, robust chassis. Should be able to handle a 2S full-size battery pack because the battery loads in through the top of the chassis. Doesn't have rounded edges like so many of the other ones do. And, you know, it's popular, so they should be having plenty of stuff out there for it. You'll need oil shocks for it. But as far as upgrades go, I don't really think you need to do a whole lot to it. It should be pretty daggone bulletproof as is. So I'm going to say the squash fan. So Wayne and Ingrid from Outback RC Australia, they came up with a few questions. One right off the bat, and they came back with some more. So I'll answer these one at a time. So a while back you mentioned in a video you don't like doing lights on RCs. Am I correct? Or is it you just don't like wiring the lights? Yes. In some cases, I don't mind putting lights in. For the most part, I don't get a whole lot of extra out of it. You know, in the custom ones, sure, you know, the Rolling Thunder, that has the light up light bar and the headlights and all that stuff in it. The ambulance has the light bar on top and headlights. The Blockhead Motors Wild one, I put a full light kit in that. And there's a few other ones that I have lights in, but for the most part, I'm not a fan of wiring. I definitely don't feel like doing custom wiring for lighting. And, you know, it's just not my thing. You know, I just love the cars for what they are, you know, and lights, you know, they're cool, but they're not a make it or break it thing. Now, for something like the Grand Hauler, yes, that deserves and needs a light kit in it, and that was a royal pain in the ass to get all the lights in there, but it was worth it. What's your favorite food? All of it. I really don't have a favorite. Pretty much anything home cooked. You know, my mom and my wife both cook for us all the time, and I love it. You know, obviously, I'm a thick guy, but you know, I don't really have a favorite. You know, all-time favorite probably pizza, but you know, I don't know. That one's a hard one. Do you like using candy paints for polycarbonate bodies? I have not used any candies on polycarbonate yet. I wanted to try it, but I also don't want to ruin a body trying it. The only candy paint I probably have done would be close to candy would be the Grand Hauler. That was that very translucent, sparkly blue. That's the closest thing I've come to a candy. What's your favorite part of the build? The body, the chassis, or the decals? The chassis is my favorite. The cutting out the body, painting the body, not really my favorite. And then decals, you know, that final seeing it all come together is pretty cool. But, you know, building the actual chassis is probably my favorite part of it. Do you prefer pre-cut decals, or do you enjoy taking your time to cut them out? It depends on the kit. If it is a highly detailed, you know, the decals overlap and, you know, they get right up into corners and stuff like that, I want to cut those out. I want to get right up to the line. I want to get everything cut as tight and crisp and clean as I can. You know, the pre-cut decals are nice, you know, like a grasshopper or something like that. You know, it's straightforward. You know, they do overlap, but there's nothing terribly tricky to it. And, you know, the cut can be a little bit off here and there. You're not going to notice it. But for, you know, like the rally cars and any of the race cars where all the stuff is really intricate, I'd probably prefer to cut that out unless they can start laser cutting. If they can start laser cutting the decals and getting them precise, then that would be cool. But until they get away from the stamp die cut, I'd probably prefer to cut them out. Is it okay to use high temp bearing grease, HTP automotive grease on Tamiya divs instead of using the tiny tubes supplied in the kit and not having enough? So I know there are certain greases that work well with plastics and some that don't work well with plastics at all. I buy this stuff in bulk tubes. It's the Finish Line ceramic grease, basically the same white ceramic grease that comes with the majority of the Tamiya builds. Now, some of them do come with the kind of the yellow poly grease. I still put the ceramic grease in there. I just know that this stuff shouldn't damage any of the plastics. It should hold up for the long term, and it should not dry up and get gnarly like some of the other greases can. You know, I know some guys will be like, oh, I just use marine grease. Well, those are the guys that are probably rebuilding crawlers, you know, every few months, cleaning everything out, rebuilding them, or they're just praying that marine grease is going to miraculously keep everything from rusting and wearing out over time. I don't know. Let's see, what else we have? And they also want to know, what kind of car do I drive? So I have a 11-year-old F-350 Ford pickup. I wanted to get a tractor, and I needed something heavy enough to be able to pull the tractor and trailer and not have to worry about it. I wanted to be able to put whatever in the back of it that I possibly could. So we looked at, you know, F-150 and F-250 and F-350, and the F-350 was actually the better buy, so we just got the biggest one. Robbie from Bang for Your Buck RC, have you ever or will you ever go to one of those big events like UST down in Florida? I doubt it. I've never been a really big crowds guy. You know, I never really went to concerts. I don't go to sporting events like that. You know, I go to small events. But I have zero competitive in me. So going to an event to see if I could do better than somebody else, or, you know, going to see, you know, stuff. It's just not something that I'm into. I don't. I mean, I'm sure if I went, I would probably have a great time, and I would probably want to go back again. So, you know, for me, Florida is like a 12-hour drive. You know, Midwest, where they do Horizon Fest and all that stuff, you know, that's a 18, 20-hour drive. You know, West Coast is out of the question. You know, I'm about to fly out there, and I don't want to fly. I've done it. I just don't want to do it anymore. So no, I'm pretty much a homebody. I'm happy here. All my toys are here, so I don't need to go anywhere else. Cool Cycles. Why is your racetrack more compactly folded than DNA? And when will you add a second floor? So I get this question a lot. Why is my track so small? Two reasons. One, if you guys have priced how much it cost for the AstroTurf and the piping and the nails and all that stuff to put a track in, it's not cheap. And I'd much rather put money into cars than, you know, this giant racetrack for just me. Second reason is, you know, we live where I grew up. So this is what my parents lived here their whole life. We moved back in with my parents, built an addition onto the house for them. I built the garage out there for me, and, you know, we're living with them, helping take care of them for the rest of their life. And my dad put a ton of time and effort into this yard and doing everything and making the yard as nice as possible. All that area out there where my track is was actually his garden for years and years and years. All of that area out there was garden. That bottom area is the flattest part, and that's where I decided to put the track in. I decided to put the track in because we had my daughter's wedding reception out there. We had a huge tent, and I bought AstroTurf to put underneath the big tent because we knew it was going to possibly be wet and rainy that time of year. So it worked out. I had the AstroTurf. I had the little flat area, and I just designed up a track that was going to be big enough to make me happy and have wide enough lanes. I could have one or two people out here driving around, still be able to get around each other. But I don't need, you know, 150-foot straightaways. You know, none of my cars are race cars, so, you know, they work great for me. It's a fun little technical track. You know, it's dirt all the way around except for the infield. So you have to drive one way around, you know, the dirty areas, and then you get onto the carpet. You have to slow up and be more careful on the carpet. So it's fun, it's technical, it's hard, and, you know, it's all I need. So David Griep. Hey Adam, is there any way to strip polycarbonate body and repaint? There are a couple ways to do it, and it really depends on how good of a condition the body is, how thick the body is. You can do it with nitro fuel, but I know some people have said, depending on what the paints are, it doesn't get it all off, and it can leave the body a little cloudy. I have also heard that it can, you know, make it a little bit more brittle, especially if it's a vintage, real thin body. The best stuff to use that I have seen ever come across or used, Tamiya polycarbonate body cleaner. This stuff will take the paint off. It will clean your body. It doesn't leave any residue. The only problem is it's hard as hell to get, and it's not cheap. I think this bottle here I ended up paying, I think, 16 bucks for, 18 bucks for. And I had to wait 3 or 4 weeks to get it from overseas. If you can get some of this, you know, a bottle will strip an entire body, no problem. It's just going to take some time. You know, do it outside so you're not sitting here huffing this stuff all day. Wear rubber gloves so you're not getting it soaking into your skin. But it is really, really great stuff, and this is probably the recommended way to do it. Hello, Adam. Is there any chance you might be getting RC10 clear car? They seem to be selling fast. Yes, I do have my order in. I know the first wave has shipped out. Waiting for the second wave to go through. Hopefully I'll get one then. But I do have my order in. It's been in for quite a while. As soon as I saw it up for pre-order, I pre-ordered it. So that is coming. When it's coming, probably after the new year at this point. But I do have one coming. Joe versus RC, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, depends on how you read that thing, but I'm going to say the chicken probably did. Question, does the stealth tranny for the RC10 require a different motor plate than the one that comes with the 6-gear transmission? I'm not 1,000% clear on this, but I'm pretty sure if you go from the 6-gear transmission to a stealth, there is a additional hole in the stealth transmission that you can drill out and tap the motor plate 4 to mount it. The other holes line up. There's just one extra hole, the kind of on the long flat side. It's right in the middle. That you have to drill out and tap. Other than that, the motor plates themselves are the exact same. It's just that one hole difference, from my knowledge of it, are the differences between the old 6-gear and the newer Stealth motor plates. Island RC Duke, what's going on, brother? How long did it take you to grow the beard? And have a great weekend. The beard, this long, took 8 months probably, maybe a year to get this long. It all started out with a no shave November, and that turned into I don't want to shave December. And by the end of the year, it was like, yeah, let's just see how far this goes. So we just kept growing it. I did cut it all off one time back to just a normal beard length. That was probably 6 years ago, and it drove me nuts. It was the itchiest thing in the world, and I don't ever plan on shaving it down again like that. It's probably going to stay long. Dan Jazz 2000, do you get buyer's regret, or is it a matter of buy now and play later? What are your worst purchases? Mine is a Ghoul RC, motor combo, eBay junk, especially when I should know better. So buyer's regret, the only buyer's regret I have is the Axial Rift. I hate that thing. Now, as far as other, buyer's regret, exactly what you said. Cheap, budget electronics that, sound way too good to be true. 46,000 kV motor with an 80 amp ESC for $29.95. And it's a smoke machine. That's all it is. It'll do those numbers once, but it's not going to do them all the time. So yeah, the eBay junk, I tend to stay away from that. I know there's a lot of people that have had really good results with Ghoul RC and all these other off brands. Some of them seem to hold up, and some of them tend to go up in smoke 30 seconds after you use them. So I think half of it's luck of the draw, and half of it's knowing which one of those actually are usable things. I don't, so I just buy kind of the name brand stuff. I stick with Hobby Wing from now on. Red Hill 160. Hey Adam, I'd like to know what those stands are underneath of all your RC cars. Are they self-made or did you buy them? Yes. So all this is a chunk of a foam yoga block. So I don't know what they do for yoga. I think they just, use them on your hands and you try to balance yourself or something. I don't know. I don't do yoga. You can tell. But for these, I buy them and they're like this big when you get them. I think they're 9 by 3 by 6 or something like that, full size. And all I do is for like this, I actually cut them into thirds, and I can get 3 car stands out of each of them. So like the Wild Willie, this third, the tires are just off the bench. The back's a little bit higher, but the fronts are just right off the bench. And, if I cut it in half, it would raise it up a little bit more, but, that's all I need for this one. The buggies, you'll see that they're kind of slanted forward. So I actually cut those on a diagonal, so it's taller on one end, shorter on the other end. I get 2 out of each one, and then the buggies kind of point down so you can see the body work and the body line of them. So for the yoga blocks, you can go to Amazon or pretty much any fitness place, anything that sells fitness equipment. Walmart probably has them for all I know. I just order mine in bricks of 2 on Amazon. They're like, you can usually find them on sale for like $15 for a pair of them. And then I take them out to my garage. I have a bandsaw out there. I just mark a straight line around them, cut them right in half. They cut like butter on the bandsaw. You can take something like a regular handsaw, and if you basically what you have to do is you take one and put it down and put your straight line on it, and then you put your other one right there on that straight line and run your saw right beside that one. It'll help you cut straight through that other piece. Now use a fine tooth saw, something like a flat back saw with fine teeth, or anything that has a fine teeth. You don't want to use Pop's old handsaw. You'll just tear up the foam. So it does have to be something fine tooth or something like a bandsaw. You can also get one of those really long, like extendable razor knives and make a couple cuts through it. It's not going to be perfect, but you just put that unperfect side down on the bottom and have the nice two ends sticking up for your car. Supple Bun, hey Adam, do you like curly fries or potato wedges? Yes. I would say curly fries over potato wedges, but there are some really good potato wedges out there. Brad Brown, what was your first hobby grade RC kit and do you still have it? My first RC hobby grade kit was a Tamiya Super Blackfoot right when it came out, the end of I think 90 or 91, can't remember. That was my first true hobby grade kit. I don't still have it, but I do have another one over here that I'm working on restoring, and well, will be working on restoring. It's sitting in a box waiting for a restore, but I do finally have a new one, or a newer one, and we'll be working on restoring that, so I will have one finished in the collection soon. And is your big collection all Tamiya, or do you collect other brands like Thunder Tiger, Kyosho, HPI, Team Associated, Axial, Schumacher, all the other ones? Mostly it's Tamiya, just because they have the broadest spectrum of kits out there that are still available for purchase. Second would be the Kyosho, the Legendary series. I have getting most of those. Still have a few. I still need the Beetle, the Scorpion, the Optima Mid, and the Ultima. I think that finishes them off. I don't know. I still have some more to go there. I used to have a Thunder Tiger Nitro buggy. I actually sent that to Brent at Adventure Time RC. HPI, they really just don't have anything out there for me. You know, if they would get back into making cool kits, sure, I'd buy some. I don't have any currently. Team Associated, I have two of the RC10s. I have the drag car. I have the Enduro, the Element rock crawler, the builder's kit, and that's about it for Associated. Axial, I have SCX-10-2. I've got the SCX-10-3 Bronco. I've got the SCX-24. I've got the Rift, which that's parked over there. I don't drive that. Cox, I do have the, I thought it was up there. That's the Pegasus. I do have the Cox Bandito out in the garage. Losi, I would love to have more Losi stuff, but all their vintage stuff is outrageous. And they don't want to re-release them for some stupid reason. I don't know. You know, if they had re-released that JRX2 and the JRX-T in 10 scale, I would have bought them. But they made them minis. So the only one I ended up buying was the little truck, and that's just because I happened to be in the hobby shop and they still had some of the limited run of them on the shelf. So I bought one just to have one in the box. But Losi, you know, get off your butt and make some re-releases. You'd actually sell some cars. But I guess they're happy, you know, selling monster trucks and tiny little trucks. But yes, I do have, you know, a smattering of other cars in the collection. But like I said, Tamiya is probably the one that I have the most of, just because you can buy so many different Tamiyas now. I do have a few of the Arma trucks and cars now as well. But yeah, mostly Tamiya. Avino72, have you ever been mistaken for a member of ZZ Top Band? I am so glad that both Duck Dynasty has kind of blown through and no longer is the thing, and you know, ZZ Top isn't as big as it was, and the beard isn't as red as it used to be. When it was red, it was ZZ Top all the time, and then when Duck Dynasty was a huge thing, it was, hey, Duck Dynasty. And I didn't mind the Duck Dynasty show, but damn, you get called Duck Dynasty 150 times a week, it gets old. But no, never been mistaken, but definitely have been referred to as ZZ Top more than once. Where do you think a guy could get a King Blackfoot body set? eBay and Buy are your probably two best options, and they're both going to be expensive. Otherwise, I think Team Blue Groove has one that is kind of that. It's basically a Lexan body of the Blackfoot, and you know, you still need to roll bar and all that stuff for it, but at least it's in the ballpark and won't cost you an arm and a leg. It only costs you about $40. So Tommels 1559, hey Adam, do you still run your Tamiya Grand Hauler? I do, but not enough. It's one of the things to where I do take it downstairs in the garage, run it around, back it into places, have fun with it once in a while. you know, I don't live on a paved road. I don't have a paved driveway, so the only place I can drive it is in the garage, or I have to take it to a parking lot somewhere else to drive it, and that just becomes troublesome. It's hard to pack that giant thing up in a trailer and all that at the same time. Whew, I'm almost done, guys. I gotta be, because I'm losing my voice. Shane Ayers, hey Adam, have you got a tip on putting the middle piece in the rim of that bloody rear tire on the Grasshopper? So, I hate to say it, but just how it shows in the book. And I'm guilty of it too. You know, I totally ignored the instruction in the book and didn't really pay attention to it. So basically what you have to do is you have to go about putting that insert in exactly opposite of anything else you've ever done to an RC car tire. You have your tire, you know, the round part, you want it facing that way. The insert, you don't want facing the same way as the tire. You want that exactly 90 degrees from the opening. So you want the tire opening facing one way and the insert opening facing the other way. You cram that in there as far as you can, and then you basically grab one side of the tire and you try to roll the rest of it in there. It's not going to be easy, but that is the easiest way to do it. And usually you can grab one side and kind of roll it in, go around, rotate the tire 180 degrees, and then finish rolling it in. And then once that insert is in there, you'll have the tire here and the insert here, and you just basically twist it and it pops right into place. It is never going to be easy, and you can sit down with 40 of those tires and every other one is probably going to fight you. It's just the way they are. It's like the intro to building your RC kit is, you know, fighting a Grasshopper tire on. But, you know, literally just shoving it in there, rolling it a little bit, rotating it, roll it the rest of the way in, and then flip that insert around. That's how you gotta do it. All right, guys, we have 2 questions left. Well, 2 things of questions left. So James from AdBRC asks, hey buddy, a quick and easy question to answer, but is it whiskey or beer? Never been a whiskey guy. Rum, on the other hand, I love rum. I miss rum. Beer, always a beer. Love beer. I miss beer. Unfortunately, I don't drink anymore. I mean, I still have a drink every now and then, but for some reason, I've had issues with blood pressure over the last few years, and alcohol just seems to shoot it clean through the roof. So basically just had to cut alcohol out of my life, which sucks. And what Tamiya are you still really looking forward to add to your collection in 2024? You know, the itch that you can't scratch, the one cheap one or expensive, good performance, bad performance, pretty or ugly. You know, the Tamiya that you just love and need to own. That's a hard one. There's so many nice ones out there that I still want to add to the collection. The problem is we're getting into like the upper scale of them. You know, I really want to add a Sand Scorcher to the collection. Top Force, VQS, Avante, all those. I would love to add to the collection, but I just don't want to pay the prices for them to put it on the shelf. And that's probably where they're going to end up being. So, you know, I'm kind of torn. You know, I've always enjoyed, you know, that $150 to $250 range of cars because it's comfortable and, you know, I can get more. But I've kind of burned through a lot of the ones that I've wanted in that price range, and now I'm starting to get into 300 and above. And it gets harder and harder to justify, you know, getting that to, you know, just have. So, as far as 2024 goes, you know, I don't know what 2024 is going to hold. I've got my Super Sabre on pre-order, so as soon as that gets here and gets shipped out, I've got that coming in. Also, the Hot Shot 2, as soon as that's available, I'm going to get that. Whatever else they come out with, you know, I'm sure they're going to come out with something that I'm going to have. But honestly, there's nothing that I feel like I have to get right now. You know, I've got 4 over there that I need to build. I still got a couple back here that are in process of building. So, you know, there's always going to be something else showing up. So I don't have a huge wish list, mega wish list, want thing. Now, one thing I really would love to do, and again, money is kind of the thing that's holding me off, is I would really love to build the Optimus Prime truck and the Happy Toys truck from Maximum Overdrive. But both of those, you know, you're looking at $1,000 to $1,200 to build, you know, a full deal of that, and I'm just not looking to spend that much money on kits right now. But anyway, You know, what comes in comes in. I don't really have a huge wish list item. You know, there are a few in there that are the golden ticket ones that if they ever showed up, you know, a Blazing Blazer, I'm going to spend whatever they want they're going to sell that to me for. So if something like that shows up, yes, then I'm getting something like that. And then lastly, it's not really a question, kind of is a question, and I've been meaning to do this, but Steve from Shin RC, yeah, why not show off my cool grips you got from me? Sorry, Steve. So, if you guys don't watch Steve's channel, and if you're watching me, I'm sure you watch Steve's channel, but he made these really cool silicone grips for your radio. They replace the foam steering wheel on your radio. I really like them. They have a little flame design on the outside that gives it just enough texture to have some feel to it. They're nice and squishy, and they're awesome, cool colors. I got 5 different ones, I think, from him. 4 or 5 different ones from him. Now, the problem is, I basically run 3 Spectrum radios for most of my cars, and this is the only one that the things fit. My old DX3, the wheel's much smaller, and then my other one's the DX5 rugged, so I would need to change out the wheel to put that on there, but I like the rugged wheel because it has the thumb thing on there, and I've got these short little sausage fingers, so my thumbs have a hard time reaching to begin with, so that rugged with the extension on there makes it nice. But go check him out. I'm sure he still has a few available, so contact Steve on his channel about them. Like I said, they're really, really nice grips. They feel good. Wet or dry, they have grip, because I have laid this down in the wet grass and picked it back up, and the steering wheel is completely soaking wet, but has great grip. And apologies, Steve, I should have shown him before, but it's just one of those things that, you know, the radio's sitting there, but I keep forgetting to show it. Anyway, guys, I hope everybody enjoyed the long rambling. My voice is shot. I've been talking now for, I think, about an hour and a half. I don't know how long the video is going to be. I'm going to try to edit out as much dead space and stuff like that as I can. But everybody out there, you guys be happy, be healthy, be safe. Everybody have a happy holidays, and I will catch you on the next one. See you guys.